I thank the Admiral for your testimony. Let me just say the report card, the grade is not good in terms of morale at the Department of Homeland Security. But the purpose of this hearing is not to beat down on the department about this. The purpose of this hearing is how can we constructively fix the problem? How can we build morale within the Department of Homeland Security? It's often referred to as a stepchild or a whipping boy, and that's not where we want the department to be. The mission is too important to protect the lives of Americans. And so I think constructively in a bipartisan way, what we're trying to do here today is how can we make it better, and how can we improve that morale? There are some examples with other departments. Department of Defense, for instance, went through a lot of growing pains in a similar fashion. And it took a while, as you mentioned, maturity of an organization to get to the point where they are today. In fact, there was a book that was entitled "How Much Is Enough" about the Department of Defense, and I have to read the quote from this book. It says, "No large organization, military or civilian, public or private, is likely to pursue automatically the broader national interest as distinct from its own institutional interest without external forces and leadership in that direction." So it really is about leadership. It's about maturity of the organization. I guess my question to you here is, what can we learn from the Department of Defense model? What are some of the maturity insights? For instance, Goldwater-Nichols, when we look at what we did, what they did to reform the Department of Defense and get it to where it is today. What are lessons learned that we can utilize by looking at the DoD example, applying it to the Department of Homeland Security?
Well, sir, if I were to give you two or three that just stand out, and this is a personal opinion now, I think relating back to the book you mentioned, "How Much Is Enough," which was written during the 1960s, is really a treatise on how the planning, programming, and budgeting system was put in place that exists today in the Department of Defense. Now it has been changed, and it gets altered by politics and leadership and everything, but a rational way to look at budgets and a multi-year forecasting model was what came out of that period under Secretary McNamara. If you look at the Homeland Security Act right now, it actually mandates a future year's Homeland Security plan, and the goal was to try and achieve some kind of a consistency in long-term budget estimations so you could have that ability to project out and make the trade-offs between the types of capabilities and competencies that you would need to execute the mission. I would say in the 9 years the Department's been in existence, the annual struggle to try and build out a future year's Homeland Security plan and have that reflected in the budget justifications has been an ongoing internal struggle inside the administration. Because when you put out a 5-year projection, that vastly starts to reduce the flexibility and oversight that's included in places like OMB, and the inner decisions that are taken in regard to the budget get pretty complex at that point. The second point I would make was the Goldwater-Nichols legislation was groundbreaking. As you know, it was driven largely by the failed rescue of the Iranian hostages in 1980 and spotty performances in Panama and Grenada. We have similar experiences inside the department would lead us to believe that we need better unity of effort in integrating operations planning and coordination. This would traditionally be called the J3 or the J5 function in the military, but I think for the department to succeed moving forward and again prove performance and morale, there needs to be a mechanism to create that kind of unity effort inside the department, to integrate across the components and unify the department. That's a precursor for them projecting that leadership into the interagency for the responsibilities the Secretary has under the Homeland Security Act and directives like Homeland Security Presidential Directive 5.
What we've seen in prior hearings on this management issue is that it's not fully integrated. It's still 22 different agencies, in many respects stovepiped. Acquisition is not integrated. Procurement is not integrated. It's 22 different agencies. I think technology could play a big role in terms of cloud computing, integrating these 22 agencies together. Other than oversight, which is the function of this subcommittee, what can the Congress do to help in this effort?
Well, I firmly believe, as a former Commandant and as a recovering budget director of the Coast Guard, that long-term consistency and predictability in out-year budget estimates cannot be overstated as a way to be able to make trade-offs, make reasoned choices about investments you're going to make and the associated risk acceptance with that. if you have to redefine the 5-year estimates every year and there's no baseline against what you see in the Department of Defense in the future year defense plan or the FIDB. I think the intention always was to create that. If I were to give you one thing that is already authorized, called for in the Homeland Security Act, but has never been actually put into place, it would be that.
Right. I appreciate the testimony. I think that somebody like yourself and Admiral, Coast Guard experience would be well equipped to provide a leadership role within the department. I know you're at Booz Allen now, but I hope you'll consider returning to public service in the future. With that, I recognize the ranking member.